My name is Jennifer Mitchell Early. In addition to helping individuals and teams achieve organizational and personal success, I am also a former elected official, an author, a professor of communication, a writer, a creator, and a minister, and a mother, and a fur mother. And those are the two roles that I take very, very seriously. And so today I just want to talk to you about caring for our college students. It's that time of year. And, I am a big proponent. We normally talk about all things leadership. We talk about training and development. We talk about communication on this channel. But I think it's important that, first of all, if you don't lead in your house, you need not try to lead anywhere else. You should be a leader first and foremost in your house. You should be leading by example in your house. You should be, modeling behavior in your house. You should be advocating for the people in your house. You follow what I'm saying? So leadership starts at home. When I first started the channel, I talked about how integral my parents were to who I am today, and in teaching me how to stand up for myself and advocate for myself and speak for myself and have those hard conversations with employers. And now I can do it with clients and whomever, and to be able to walk firmly, flat-footed in my responsibilities, and to be ethical in my communication. All those things I attribute to the fact that I had leaders in my home, not only just in the community. My mother was a 36-year veteran educator. My father was a 25-year veteran elected official in our community. Not just in our community, but in our home, in our house. They led in our house. And so it's that time of year again where, folks are dropping their kids off to college. And I got a lot of educators that follow this channel who are transitioning educators, want to transition into training and development. Well, listen, you were advocating hopefully for your students then. If you're transitioning into training and development, you'll be advocating for your participants, in a future role. That doesn't stop. Being an advocate and teaching people to stand up for themselves and take their, take their position and take their skill set to another level. None of that doesn't change. Your venue changes, and maybe the way that you do it changes, but the purpose behind what you do, that doesn't change the way that I see it. So my daughter is a sophomore in college. I became an integral member in the online community once she was accepted into college. And so on that community, there are people who give a plethora of advice and wise counsel and share their experiences and their challenges. And I appreciate it, because although I went to my daughter's school, I'm an alumna of that university, I'm looking at it through a totally different perspective now as a parent. The things that I thought about as a junior attending that university and as a graduate, those weren't my thoughts as a parent, right? So, but what I've noticed in the last 2 years, especially this time of the year where you have new parents dropping off their students, are as parents share what you should and shouldn't do and what worked for them and all of that, I think that there is also built in that an inherent bias, right? So we all have to be cognizant of we all have different parenting styles. We all have different leadership styles, right? And what might work for one employee won't work for them all. One participant or one student or one whatever won't work for them all, right? The same is true for our kids. I am a single parent of one. I have a brother. My parents had two. And what worked for my brother didn't necessarily work for me, and vice versa. So you have to learn how to change your style because every kid is different. So I don't want to be on here long, and I don't want to belabor you with this. I just really am hoping to reach people because I think this is a situation that permeates all institutions, all colleges, all universities, all seasons where there's a transition in life, but we're not really sure how to proceed. I remember my mother used to say to me all the time growing up, like, you weren't born with a user's manual. It's not like I could turn to page, chapter 5, page 36 and find out, how to discipline Jennifer at 15. These are just things that I do the best that I am able to do in the capacity of the things that I know at that moment, what I think is going to be in your best interest, and I'm moving those things. And at 15 I was like, whatever. But at 49, to a parent of an almost 20-year-old, I'm like, okay, she had a point. Like, I didn't get a manual when I gave birth to this one. I don't know, but I have been her parent for almost 20 years. So I know her and she knows me. I love her and she loves me. And she's been used to a certain level of parenting from me, if you will. So I teach her what I can teach her. I'm a firm advocate of, listen, I'm not going to be in her back pocket. When she leaves my house, she leaves my house. And I have to rest in the fact that everything I put in her at the appointed time, when she's under, the appropriate amount of pressure, that will come out. Those teachings, just like now, I'm in the middle of my life and I can still think of things that my mother has said to me, like your actions speak louder than words, and things of that nature. There is no other way other than the truth. Honesty is the best policy. All of those things that she taught me, they still come up and out. And I have instilled them in my child. My brother has instilled it in his children. So I just want to quickly say, be careful of the counsel that you give to other new parents. In particular, parents that are experiencing, it is so stressful to have a child who is not transitioning into college the way you think they would. Like, okay, for example, I'll use myself. I couldn't wait. Listen to me when I tell you. I couldn't wait to get away from my mother. I wanted to be independent. I wanted to call my own shots. I wanted to be free of her. My mother was an educator, a 36-year veteran teacher. I mean, before I could think of a scheme, let alone hatch it, she knew what was going on. So I was ready to spread my wings and fly away. Period, point blank, full stop. My daughter, on the other hand, had freedom. She had a car, she worked, she could pretty much, as long as we had open communication, which I insisted upon, she could pretty much come and go as she pleased within reason. And because she had the freedom to do that, she wasn't itching to get away. In fact, I couldn't even mention the word college until August last year. Okay, weeks before I was going to drop her off. Whereas the difference between me and her, my mother didn't buy anything. I was already packed up, ready to go. The car is gas. Come on, let's go. Drop me off. Be gone. Peel out. I don't need no help. I'll see you when I see you. That's kind of how we did things. My daughter was different. And initially I thought, oh my God, it's the pandemic babies, right? Like the pandemic babies, because they were at home with us. They got comfortable. They don't want to venture out. These kids are just different. That's what I was saying all last year. These kids are just different. So parents, well-intentioned, well-meaning parents, came on the parent portals and the social media pages and, leave them alone. Don't let them come home for 6 weeks. Thankfully, my daughter is in an in-state school. She's about 3 hours away. Don't go get them. Don't let them come home. Make them stick it out. Yeah, that might work for you. And that might work for you and your house and your kids. But as for me and mine, I make those kind of decisions. And while you may have some insight and a perspective that I don't have, and I can appreciate that, I'm not exactly sure that I'm going to take your counsel and just run with it as if it's the gospel. I can assure you I am not. I am not going to cede my parenting that I've done for, at that point, 19 years to you saying, okay, well, what, my first one, I did that and it worked out. I'm so happy it worked out for you. But for me, I had to take a different approach. My approach, because I understand my daughter, I understand that my daughter was struggling, and I understood that the struggle was real. The struggle was real. And I'm not talking about for the first 6 weeks. I'm talking about for the first year, people. The struggle was real. I'm talking about every time I took her back to get on the bus to go back to school, every time there were tears on both parts, because I don't know what parent can watch their kids struggle like that and not feel helpless with them. I mean, and this is with outside counsel. This is with, you can come home whenever you want to, FaceTime me, call me. I talk to my daughter multiple times a day, every day. I talk to my mother multiple times a day, every day. So this is just something our family does. My daughter has a very good support system. She struggled nonetheless. I dropped her off at the end of August. By the middle of September, my behind was on campus, me and the dog that had never ever ridden in a car beyond 15 minutes. Because my baby was in trouble and I knew enough to know it and identify it and be proactive about it. I was never going to be at risk of getting a phone call that said, Mrs. Early, we went to do a wellness check and we checked. Nope, I will never get that call. I'm always going to be in open communication with my kid. And just know, all you got to do is look at the paper. All you got to do is look at the internet. There have been parents who have gotten that call. There has been a parent who reached out on the parent portal at my daughter's school, concerned about her child, and was told the exact same advice. Don't let them come home. Tell them, stick it out. This is good for them. This builds character. They're adults now. She can't be a parent anymore. She doesn't have that option any longer because things ended tragically. So I just want to say to you that if you are a parent whose child is struggling, they're not the only one and you're not alone. But let me say this to you, and please take even this counsel with a grain of salt. Just because your kid turned 18 and is a legal adult does not mean that your parenting obligation and responsibility is over. No one has taken your parenting card and said, oh no, you're no longer applicable in their lives to lead and guide them. That is not true. Yes, they turned 18. Did they miraculously get mature overnight? No. Will they still make mistakes? Yes. Do they still need you? Yes. I'm 49. My parents are in their 70s and 80s. And they still try to run to my rescue. Because you know what? They're still my parents. No matter how old I get, I will always and forever be their baby. So they're still your babies. They still need you. They still need for you to lead them and guide them. And yes, the way that they need you will change. How much they need you may change. But that doesn't mean that you drop them off and you shake the dust off your feet and you're like, oh, well, you're 18 now. No, the college won't talk to you unless they sign a waiver. My kid has signed every waiver. I have every legal document. I have every, as I'm doing the video, of course, I'm drawing a blank. Power of attorney, medical, financial, whatever. I have it on file, on her phone, in my paperwork at the school, because I'm still her parent. She still is going to need me, if nothing else, just to see what I think, even though I know she's going to make her own decision. That's why I'm here, is to help her navigate this journey. There are going to be many transitions in life. Come on now, right? We all go through, our seasons change, every last one of us. And some of us navigate them great, and some of us struggle a bit with change, and some of us struggle a bit to know the new terrain and be able to navigate it successfully. So just be encouraged. Communicate with your child. Understand what they're going through. Make your own course of action. Last year, this was my course of action. When I hit that campus in September, my daughter came to the hotel and she slept. She was so tired from being in a strange place, from going through the anxiety. It was mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally taxing. And when she woke up, and after she had whatever favorite meal she wanted to have, and we went hiking and got off campus and all of that, we set forth a plan in motion. She was going to come home every weekend. Sometimes she came home twice a week. And come on, I'm going to just share this with you. When she needed to come home, she came home, period, full stop, no questions asked. This year, my daughter is back on campus, a rising sophomore. She drove herself to college, unpacked herself. She is noticeably happier. She is more peaceful. She has a better outlook. She is looking forward to her classes. She can appreciate things about campus because we had to set expectations, parameters, and put measures in place so I could ensure her support system, her level of confidence, and her level of comfort. That is all important, even for our kids who are learning how to be adults and make their own decisions. But part of this transition is understanding that they're not in it alone. It's also our transition. We're also transitioning to parenting adult children and understanding what that looks like. But it's not a let go. It's not, oh, you're on your bike. I done stripped the training wheels. Go ahead, go forth and go ahead, ride your bike down the street. Go in traffic. You're okay. You rode a bike before. You'll figure it out. The car won't hit you. Cars are going to hit them. Okay? Probably a poor analogy, but that's how much is at stake. When you just let them go willy-nilly, you say, oh, you got this, I trust you can make the right decision, but you don't give them any guidance. You haven't taught them how to advocate for themselves. You haven't taught them how to speak for themselves, or how to fight for themselves, or how to fend for themselves. It's like sending them out in traffic. It's dangerous. And it's dangerous to give other people that kind of counsel when you don't know them, you don't know their children, you don't know their challenges. I can guarantee you one thing: my mother never knew everything or the full extent of what I was going through when I did finally share something with her, because at that time I didn't want to be judged, I didn't want to be criticized, I may have felt ashamed, a number of things why kids don't tell us the whole story. And when you give counsel to say, oh, just let them go, they'll figure it out, you have no idea what kind of cesspool that person's kids may be in. And then you encourage them to ignore the signs. Their kid is drowning, flailing in the water, hands outstretched, gasping for air. And now they're made to believe, oh, that's just par for the course. That's just navigating that stream. They'll be okay. They'll get to the other side. Well, what happens when they don't? When I heard about that mother today, whose kid, who she was online trying to figure out what to do, another well-intentioned, well-meaning parents were like, oh, let her go, let her figure it out. Can you imagine being the one who give her that kind of counsel, to know that when she got that call, it was over? There were no second chances. It was done. Take care of your student, whether they're in college, whether they're transitioning into high school, middle school, elementary, kindergarten. It's a dog-eat-dog world out here. And you have been called to be accountable and responsible for those individuals that God has given you. Do right by them. Do the best you can do by them. Take the meat, throw away the bones. Take people's counsel with a grain of salt, because you know them. You were given the authority over their lives, and you have the authority to help them be comfortable and help them to navigate and to give them the tools necessary so that as they grow older and they get wiser and they've experienced a little bit more life, they can navigate it for themselves. But now may not be the time. And guess what? Only you know that.